Hello from Johnson City, Tennessee in the United States of America. I wish that I could be with you, but Parkinson's is that way. Some days we're able to do great wonders and leap tall buildings with a single bound, and other days we can't get out of the bed. I had a fall and didn't injure myself badly, but enough that I knew that I shouldn't make a trip that far away from home. So I apologize for not being with you in person. But any questions you have, I'll be glad to answer. Hopefully we can use technology and get me there live to answer some questions. But if not, my email address is accessible to you, and please use it. I'll be glad to answer your questions. I want to talk to you today about cultures, different cultures. And it seems in the Western culture, you are defined by what you do, by your career, or what your status is educationally. If you have a PhD in genetics, let's say, if you don't pay your taxes and child support, I think that more defines who you are. And I think you're more defined by what you don't do than what you do. I know that sounds weird, but I do believe that. There's a book that Ken Getz wrote with the help of, I'm sure, a lot of people. It's The Gift of Participation, and it says, a guide to making informed decisions about volunteering for a clinical trial. And he says in this book, clinical trials are part of the final leg of a new medical treatment's journey from the laboratory to your medicine cabinet. In all, it may take as much as 20 years and an estimated 800 million, I believe that's gone to over 1 billion now, to bring a single new drug treatment from its initial discovery through to the market. I was an elementary principal. I went back to school late in life, had all 3 of my children by the time I was 25 years old, and I graduated with honors and decided to be a teacher. I taught for 7 years, and I went back to school, and I became a principal, an administrator. And I had a small school in a small town in Tennessee of about 500. Of course, you multiply that times the parents, and you've got several people that are under your supervision. And I enjoyed that job very much. But then, like a thief in the night, Parkinson's came along and stole it away from me. And I felt like I had lost my identity. I was always constantly busy in civic affairs and what have you, and all of a sudden all that was gone. I had a terrible Parkinson's crisis because I tried to outdo the disease. I was diagnosed 16 years ago, and of course you're diagnosed by observable symptoms. There is no blood test or scan yet that has been proven that you positively have Parkinson's, which bothers me, and I hope we're working on that. I know we're working on that. But I had to go on disability early. And you see me fidgeting now. That's not a result of Parkinson's. That's a result of the medication side effects. For 40 years, we've been using the same treatment as the gold standard, and that's levodopa, carbidopa-levodopa. 40 years. Why have we not found a better treatment yet? The answer is simple. Because it works so well. Yes, even though I have side effects of dyskinesia, or there's on and off times, that phenomena, it still works well. 1 minute I can be a stooped over invalid person that bites into my bottom lip, even drools sometimes. I lose my balance and I shuffle my feet. And I take levodopa, and in just a matter of minutes, I'm a different person. Now, don't we wish we had pills like that for every disease? But the side effects are disabling. But I do believe levodopa is neuroprotective, because 40 years ago, people would live about 10 years after diagnosis. Now you can live 30 and 40 years. But to get back on track, I made a decision that I wanted to do something to fight this disease. I have 3 grandchildren, 3 of my own children and 3 grandchildren. And I decided that I didn't want to see them have this disease. The thoughts of it make my skin crawl. So I decided to enter a clinical trial. Now, I didn't enter just any clinical trial. I decided to do one that required brain surgery. Now, you might be saying, who on earth, who in their right mind, would do something like that? Be the first person to ever have a certain type of surgery? Well, you're looking at the nut that did it. I'm not a nut, though. I feel like, even though the trial has been halted, not for any safety factor reasons, but simply because it didn't meet its endpoints, I still feel like something has been learned. We've learned that from my particular trial that you can have cells from another source. These are porcine cells, or the carrier was porcine cells. They were cells from a human body, retinal cells that produce dopamine. And they were put on microcarriers and put into my brain on porcine cells. And we didn't take immunosuppressant drugs. So that's a success. Even though the trial in itself wasn't successful, that is a success. Robin Elliott, who's the CEO of Parkinson's Disease Foundation in New York City, often says, "Pegster, you're a hero." And Ken Getz calls people heroes that participate in clinical trials. I don't feel like I'm a hero. I feel like I've done my duty. Just like you have to sometimes join the war or join some civic club and do something worthy. I felt the need to do something worthy. But back to why I made that decision. I was bad. My symptoms were bad. I could not walk across this room unassisted. And that's been 10 years ago. I still have a bad off and on times. They're getting a little more frequent, but it's hard to separate between age-related symptoms and Parkinson's related symptoms. But I am much better since I had that surgery. Now, I went to a meeting not too long ago about placebo effect, and they said it's all placebo effect. It's all in your head. Well, yes, it is in my head because I'm not producing dopamine or enough dopamine. But I think our expectations are part of the treatment. But at any rate, I don't feel like a hero. I feel like I've done what I had to do. And I hope that some of you will consider that too. Parkinson's is a baffling disorder. It's the second most common neurological illness, second to Alzheimer's. And I do believe we need to join up with small groups like Alzheimer's because there are so many similarities in neurological paths and medications and dementia, all sorts of things that make them very common to each other. But participating in a trial isn't the only thing I've done. I've worked with several advocacy groups. I worked with PAN, Parkinson's Action Network, which works with the legislative arm in the United States. I was Tennessee coordinator. I received some awards there for my hard work. Pats on the back. I made a video even with the PDF. That would be me there for newly diagnosed young onset. I have been active in the Clinical Research Learning Institute that the PDF has made. This is their way of working with the community to teach them about clinical trials and to pass on the word by word of mouth about joining clinical trials. Now, why do you want people to join clinical trials? Absolutely, I heard you say it. Because if you don't have patients, you're not going to have new treatments. So I attended this institute and I helped screen some people to get in it again. It's still going on. I think our third one or fourth one is about to begin. And we have a great website that I hope you will visit PD Trials. It's www.pdtrials.org. There you can find, according to your symptoms or your locale, you can find out about what trial would best suit you. I'm also being part of another video, Clinical Research Education Day. This is the group that Ken Getz has there in Boston. And they have a day that they show videos and people who have participated in trials. And this is something they're doing. And I've spoken around the world. I'm here with you in spirit. Wish I could be with you. Although I hear it's rather cold in Scotland. But I'm very happy to be a part of you this way. You know, when you get Parkinson's, you have 1,000 questions. Dr. Lieberman, who's famous for Parkinson's, is affiliated. He works in the Arizona Muhammad Ali Center. Wrote a book, 100 Questions and Answers. Well, 100 just is the tip of the iceberg for the questions you have about Parkinson's. There's so much we need to know. But the thing we need to know more than anything is, why does it happen? We've got to have biomarkers. We've got to understand why this is happening. Perfectly healthy people. Are they being exposed to something? Is it a genetic thing? Nothing's been proven yet. There is no test that absolutely proves you have it. Yet we're drilling into people's heads, doing sham surgery, and all sorts of things that are ridiculous, ludicrous. We've got to start with what's the root of the cause. And then we've got to start with positively identifying that something is what it is before we do surgery or any type of experimental work with these people. There are a lot of stakeholders in the Parkinson's, finding a cure for Parkinson's. There are the sponsors, of course. They put up the money. Pharmaceutical companies who are very interested in this. That can be one and the same as the sponsor. Then we have the researchers who dedicate their entire lives to finding a cure, and I appreciate that so much, people who do that. All those support staff who help the researchers. We have bodies like the EMA and the FDA and NIH, all those acronyms, which I'll put in your glossary later. And then we have patients and doctors. Now, who's the most important person in that group of people? Well, in my opinion, and it should be yours too, it's the patient. Who wants to find a cure more than the patient? I can't think of anybody that wants to reach that management level for Parkinson's or that cure for Parkinson's more than I do. I do hope that you'll consider joining a clinical trial. It can't hurt anything. It can only help. You get to see the best doctors in the field of their expertise. You visit some of the finest facilities in the world. And you may just possibly get lucky and come up with being treated with a new treatment years before it ever reaches the public. And you will feel good about yourself. You will have done what you could have done to stop this horrible, debilitating disease. Like I said, I wish I could be with you, but I am with you. We're all with you. If you're a patient sitting out in this audience listening, if you're a researcher, remember the number one stakeholder is the patient. So let's get patient-centered, put them on boards, IRBs and committees and decision-making bodies, and let them show you what kind of expertise they have. I want to find a cure, and I want to find it fast. Thank you for indulging me, and let's find that cure before next World Parkinson's Congress. Thank you.